How deep do our societal expectations actually run? The source material for this explainer argues that to really get where we are today, we have to look back at how we've been, well, programmed. And it kicks things off with a piece of history that is, frankly, pretty startling.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. What you're about to see are actual rules from a high school home economics textbook in the 1950s. And just to be clear, this wasn't just some friendly advice in a magazine. This was taught in schools. This was the curriculum.
So, rule number 1 sets the tone immediately. The first thing a wife should be thinking about when her husband gets home isn't her own day or their life together, it's about his dinner. Her actions are framed entirely as proof that she's been thinking about him.
And it's not just about what she does. Get this, her appearance isn't even for her. The whole point of looking fresh is to be a pleasant sight for him, a kind of visual escape from his supposedly dreary, work-weary day. Her role was basically to be a living, breathing decoration.
The house itself had to be completely transformed for his arrival. So all those sounds of her working all day, the washer, the dryer, the vacuum, all of that had to be silenced. The goal was to create this perfect, quiet haven of rest and order, as if all that work just magically got done on its own.
And this one might be the most telling of all. A woman's own thoughts, her problems, her complaints, her entire inner world, all of it had to be put on hold. The message couldn't be clearer. His day, his experiences, his voice, they all come first. Hers comes second, if it comes at all.
So it's really easy to look at that list and just laugh it off as some quirky, old-fashioned nonsense, right? But the source argues this was part of something much, much bigger. It was a form of societal programming, teaching women that their value was directly tied to their ability to disappear. And as we're about to see, those ideas, they haven't exactly vanished. This is what the source calls female programming, and the core belief is just what it says, that for a woman to be considered good, she has to essentially erase herself to make room for the needs and comfort of everyone else around her. So what does that look like today? Well, the echoes of that programming are everywhere. It's the second shift that working mothers know all too well. It's that deep, simmering resentment from feeling like you're always giving, always serving. It's exhaustion, it's burnout. And think about that last point, the idea that the only time you're allowed to rest is when you're sick. What a tragic legacy that. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The source is very clear that this is not a one-sided story. It argues that men were, and in many ways still are, trapped in their own rigid set of expectations too. And this is absolutely crucial. The source stresses that the way forward is not about attacking men. That kind of thing, it argues, just keeps us all stuck in the same old toxic patterns. This isn't a zero-sum game where one side has to lose for the other to win. And right here, you can see the two sides of the same broken coin. Women were taught to serve, to put themselves last. Men were taught to be emotional fortresses, never cry, never show weakness, and just silently carry these enormous burdens. I mean, who wins in that scenario? Nobody. And this leads to such a powerful point from the source, the act of blaming. Blaming men, blaming society, blaming the past. It might feel satisfying for a moment, but it ultimately does nothing. It's an act that keeps you powerless, stuck in the role of a victim instead of creating change. Okay, so if blame is powerless, what's the alternative? Let's get into the solution, because this is all about empowerment. It starts by really seeing how far we've come, and then taking very deliberate steps to move forward. And just to put things in perspective for a second, the source reminds us that back in the 1850s, it was considered completely improper for any respectable woman to actually enjoy sex. We have already moved mountains from where we were. So the source lays out this really clear four-step process. It's a journey. You start by letting go of all that anger and blame. You move past that feeling of being a victim. You claim your own power. And then, and this is the best part, you start building the world you actually want to live in. It's a shift from being a spectator to being an architect. And the ultimate goal here, it's not a world where women win. It's a world built on mutual respect. A world where both men and women are finally free from all this restrictive programming and can actually honor each other as true equals. So this whole journey, it starts with the individual for sure, but it definitely doesn't end there. The source argues that when that individual power is combined, when it's harnessed together, it becomes a force that can literally change society.
And the proof is all around us. I mean, think about it. Only 75 years ago, women were still fighting for the basic right to vote. Today, a woman can run for any political office in the land. That didn't just happen. That was the result of massive collective action.
Okay, you have got to hear this quote. Back in 1935, Eleanor Roosevelt was pushing for a law to require indoor bathrooms in all new houses. And this was a real objection raised in Congress. Seriously. It sounds completely absurd to us now, but that was a real roadblock.
But guess what? She kept fighting, and she won. Today, we don't even think about indoor plumbing. It's just a given. But it took one powerful woman fighting against ridiculous opposition to make that a reality. That's the kind of impact one person can have. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? That amassed energy, when it's united, when it's focused on a common goal, it is an awesome, world-changing force. So, we've seen how far we've come, from the Good Wife's Guide to running for president. But as the source reminds us, we still have much to do and so much to learn. Which leaves us all with a really powerful question to think about. What mountain are we going to move next?